So, I'm finally back with the second part of the angel mask sculpture. I finally got my voice back. I'm sorry about that last video, but I really wanted to push content. And I apologize because I feel like it's not my style to do like a whole 3-part video, but I really wanted to cover the mold making in a separate video because it takes so long. But after this video, all the new content that I'll push will not be featuring the mold making process. I just felt like I needed to do it on this one because I'm just starting, so I want people to see my process. So the video is pretty much self-explanatory, but I'm just gonna point some things out that I forgot to like type in on the video. Like here I'm using Rebound 25 silicone. It's my favorite silicone. I use it for everything. Even though it's meant to be brushed on, I have done like some good pour molds, block molds and all that. It just works great for everything overall. Here I'm gonna pour the leftover silicone on this little mold I found at Hobby Lobby. I found it's really great for keys because it doesn't take too much material. I will not necessarily use them for this sculpture, but it's always good to have the mold around, so every time you have some leftover silicone you can do some keys for future projects and just save them, because as you know, silicone is really expensive, so we don't want to throw that away. I'm applying a second coating here. You gotta repeat that process until it's kind of like 1/4 inch thick, depending on what you're sculpting. You don't want it to be very thin because you will have problem at time of demolding. You gotta take your time when doing the first 2 coats, because the first one is the one that is gonna catch all the detail, so you want to be taking your time with that one and getting the silicone to cover every little detail. Here I'm gonna flip it upside down because I need to take care of the undercuts. You're gonna see in a minute. I'm gonna be using Van Eyck Plastiline to hold it in place. You want to make sure it's sturdy because you're gonna be tapping the silicone with your brush and you really don't want it to fall halfway through. I'm gonna keep adding plastiline until I feel comfortable enough, and then I will switch to pouring and brushing on more silicone on the undercuts. Here I'm gonna be adding the Tyvek thickener. It's gonna make it like a paste so I can fill it quicker, all those gaps. So after I turn it into a paste, just using the mixing stick because it's better for me to handle it. If you use the brush, it's so thick that the hair of the brush will start falling off, because I use cheap brush, so it's not really a great quality brush, but it does the job. But like I was saying, it's better to lay down the paste with the mixing stick. So here I have dish soap mixed with water. I'm gonna spray some in my fingers and some in the sculpture. This was just to smooth it out, and it won't allow the silicone to stick into your fingers. I'll be trying to get it as smooth as I can, getting rid of those drips, bumps, because the smoother it is, the better fitment we'll have on the shell later on. Here you can see the progress so far, but you can still see the clay underneath, meaning it needs to thin on some areas. So we're gonna keep adding more silicone layers to it until I feel like that's enough or good enough. Here I'm just cutting the silicone that drip and reach the table, because I need to flip it upside down again, and it can't be sticking on the table, of course. So now that I took care of the underneath, I'll flip it back up, and I'm gonna be trimming the excess and probably add more layers. Normally a regular sculpture doesn't require that much silicone, but due to the design of my mask, I'm here in like coat or layer number 7. So I'm gonna be using the same dish soap technique here again to try and smooth it as best as I can. So here you can see the result of the smoothing. You can see there's no bumps, there's almost like flat surface. Sharpie doesn't really sticks to the silicone, nothing sticks to the silicone, but I'll be marking the center of the sculpture so I can divide the shell in two parts for easy demolding. You can even touch the marks or you wipe them out, but it'll work just fine for what I'm about to do. So here I'm gonna be using another one of my favorite products from Smoothon, Freeform Air. I love working with Freeform Air. I use it for almost anything. Mold shells, I scratch build parts from it. I have sculpted a little bit with it. If you wanna try it yourself, be careful when ordering because they have two versions. They have this one and a fast version, and the fast doesn't smooth out as good as this one with water. Later on you're gonna see when I have the shell on how easy it smooths with water. And what I love about it is like it's really hard when cured, but also light and easy to sand and shape after it's cured. So here, as you can see, what I like to do is make two balls of the same size of part A and part B. And then squish them together until they are the uniform color, kind of like grayish. So if you keep seeing like white strings on your mix, just keep like squishing it, rolling it, mixing it real good until you see just the uniform color. As you see here, I'm speeding it up, but it still takes a lot of time to get it mixed real good. It's important to take your time when doing this, or the final result will not cure and you will end up with a mess. Here you see me starting at the top. That's what I like to do first. Build the wall that's gonna divide one half from the other, and then just keep adding until I cover all the area. Here I'm gonna keep mixing until I cover the rest. I'm gonna speed it up again because it really takes a long time to mix it. As you can see here, I almost have it covered up. I was cleaning my hands because the freeform like to stick to everything and it starts to build up in your gloves. So you have to clean your gloves every now and then between coats so you won't waste so much material. Because it will start sticking and sticking on your gloves like you see here, and it's gonna start building up and it makes it harder to handle. Luckily it cleans right off with a lot of water. I managed to cover the area and I have some of the leftover freeform. I'm just gonna put it on a Ziploc bag to save it for the next half. Here I'm using the same method that I use for the silicone, but this one is just water, no dish soap. And you're gonna see how it starts to smooth out after I cover everything with it. Here's the end result after I smooth it out with the water, and I'm just gonna leave it there for a day to cure. It takes less than 24 hours to cure, but I always like to leave it for a day for good measure. So here, as you can see, it finally cured and I'm ready to lay down the second half. I'm gonna be using some petroleum jelly or Vaseline, you might say. This will act as a mold release between the walls of the freeform air. I'm gonna be applying it with a little brush and I'm gonna be applying a lot of it. You really don't want your mold to stick to each other. I'm gonna repeat the process. Gonna squish the balls together until they're properly mixed and lay them down. I like to go like half an inch thick so it'll be pretty strong and less probability of breaking. finally here I covered the right side up, and again repeating the process with the water. Just gonna be smoothing it out. I added those tabs on top because it will be easier with that to lay it down on the floor or handling it when sludge casting. Here's the final result of the two halves together. The right side is still wet from smoothing, so I'm gonna leave it there for a day, just for good measure, like I said before. So here I started to prepping the bolts that I'm gonna drill some holes around it. I'm gonna do some markings where I want to drill the holes just as a guide. It doesn't really need to be perfect. Some of the bolts were not reaching the other side really that well, so I'm gonna be shaving with my Dremel and a sanding drum just to make it thinner on the wall. That way I can reach better from the other side with the nut. Here you can see the result. The fitment is so much better. So I'm just testing them out before demolding. You can see here they grab pretty well. disaster struck, like always. You know, it's not a PR props video without some chaos. So here in a little bit you're gonna see how it goes. As you can see, I was struggling to get it off. So here I was already afraid it was gonna break because it got locked up in those undercuts. I thought I did a really good job covering it up with the silicone, but I guess not. There it goes. Bummer. Oh well. Nothing some super glue can fix, right? Here I'm just losing my patience. It already cracked, so it's fair game now, right? Loctite super glue to the rescue. Luckily, the super glue really grabs hard onto the freeform air. So I will slap a whole lot of super glue in it, holding it in place until it hardens, and then hit it with CA glue accelerator from the inside and from the outside, just for good measure. So here I'm demolding the other side, and guess what? Yep, I broke that one too. Here's how it looks after I repaired it. Doesn't really even looks damaged, but now I have to trim all the edges and all the parts that I thought that it cut off the silicone, because if not, I'm gonna have the same problem when I'm casting, and you really don't want that. Here I'm gonna be sanding the inside whenever I think there's a bump that shouldn't be there, whenever I see some crevice that I think is grabbing onto the silicone, and I also be trimming the bottom edge because it really caught a lot of the sculpture in that, and it was making it really hard to demold. There's gonna be a lot of grinding, cutting and sanding, but you're gonna see the end result in a bit and you're gonna see how much better it looks. I love this little 2-inch sanding pad that I got off Amazon, and it have a 1/8-inch shaft, so you can just use it with your rotary tool. But for these things I like to use my 4-dome because I really don't like to lose power, and the Dremels I have are battery Dremels, so they are really not that powerful. I mostly use them for foam or small things. My 4-dome eats through everything, so that's why I like to do everything with the 4-dome rotary tool. Whenever you have a chance, you should upgrade to 4-dome. It's really expensive, but it's literally forever. I've had mine for over 13 years and it's still going strong. So here, after I finish sanding and trimming the shell, I'm checking to see how it fits, just doing some testing before demolding the silicone, just to make sure everything's alright. Just making sure everything lines up and comes out the way it should. Here I'm just writing some instructions on the mold, left side, right side, because they really look alike and I was having trouble figuring it out. Here you can see it's still locked up because it's kind of tricky the first time, because you need to know, like, get to know your mold, how to demold, how to put it together. So here on the left side I was kind of scared because I already repaired. You can see the cracks on the video where I glued it together, and I was having trouble getting it out. So then here I managed to discover the trick. You need to be from the downside and pulling up, and it will come out just fine. And I'm gonna write some instructions in the shell because I'll know I'll forget and I'll probably break it again. I'm just gonna write pull from down up. Just for good measure, I was just trying it on and off several times to see if it will lock up or come out nice like before. Here I am ready to demold the silicone. I'm just inspecting the shell one last time. And I started to demold this intricate design. I knew it was gonna be a pain, but let's see how it goes. It wasn't really that bad because it's still clay, so it don't matter if it breaks, but I know I'm gonna be having some trouble when I'm demolding the cast. I'm gonna give it a nice trim to that excess silicone, just trying to make it look good. It's not really necessary, but it will just look better. Now I will lay the silicone on the shell, and as you can see, I didn't use the keys that I made before with the leftover silicone because the shape of the eyes is acting like keys, so it wasn't really necessary for this one. So now that everything fits perfectly, it's time to screw the bolts on and get ready for casting the first one. I forgot to spray with mold release a little bit. It's also not necessarily, but I was a little bit scared that the cast will lock up due to the design. So I'll just spray a little bit with it, just to have like a little extra help for when releasing. I'm using the sludge casting method. It's what I like to use when casting my helmets. You just pour the resin and keep flipping the mold until the resin reach every little detail around. You just have to keep an eye on it. You gotta keep repeating the process several times until you're satisfied with the thickness. I'll be using a fiber here. This will make the resin a little bit thicker. The more fiber you use, the more it would make it like a paste, but here I'm just using a little bit because I still need the resin to run to the places I flip the mold. Here's the end result. I'm just letting it cool down so I can demold. It's pretty hot at this point because of all the layers, and it's real thick right now. So I'm finally ready to take the load apart, and I'm a little bit scared to be honest, but let's see how it goes. Well, here we go. I was scared I was gonna break it here, but it finally came out. And now for the silicone, it's probably gonna be a struggle. You can see it here. It still kind of like locks up, but oops, I rip it too. But yeah, finally, it's super clean cast. I didn't expect it to be this clean, so that's a good sign. Here I am just marking with the Sharpie where I want to cut all that flashing. I'm gonna drill some holes to just make it easier for the Dremel tool, also quicker. I'm back into the Fordham with a cutting disc, just getting rid of those parts that won't be using, because this part right here is just the cast of the top of the head of the mannequin, so we don't really need that. It obviously needs to be hollow because a person will be using it, and you can see in a minute when I finish trimming it how it will look. That took a while, so here is the end result of the initial trimming. It's kind of looking better and better. So this mask needs to have some sort of wing structure in the back. So I really didn't know at this point what I was gonna do for the wings. So I just drilled these 4 holes, just thinking I might be of good use later. Just like a good mechanism to attach the wings, I guess. And here's the first spool in the mannequin display in all its glory. Finally, after all that process, it's looking real clean, and on the next video I'm gonna be finishing it. Like I said, I'm not really a big fan of doing like 2 or 3 part videos, but I really wanted to cover the mold making progress on this one. Like future projects won't have that mold making footage. If you stayed until the end, I want to say I really appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, as it's gonna really help me grow my YouTube channel. And see you on the next one.